This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. Displaced students, teachers, custodians, school administrators, and others who have been evacuated will be absorbed in schools here in New Providence. According to National Emergency Management Agency, or NEMA spokesperson Carl Smith, registration will take place on Thursday at the National Stadium.
Assistance will be provided for uniforms, school supplies, and transportation. UNICEF, the UN agency responsible for children and education, is on the ground and meeting with the Ministry of Education today to offer further support. We are committed to minimizing the disruption to their academic studies and giving them back a sense of normalcy.
And as for students wishing to remain in Abaco and Grand Bahama, the ministry is still coming up with a plan in this case. At last count, 2,043 were registered at New Providence shelters. 3 Children's Home are accommodating 45 displaced children from the Children's Home in Grand Bahama.
As of 10 a.m. this morning, September 10th, these are the shelters being used in New Providence. The Kendall Isaac Gym, including the 2 tented areas just outside of the gym, and they are accommodating 1,357 persons. The Fox Hill Community Shelter, where there are 239 persons. The Calvary Haitian Baptist Church Shelter is housing 85 persons. The Salvation Army on Marquis Street is accommodating 27 persons. The Pilgrim Baptist Church in St. James Road is housing 64 persons. And the Bahamas Academy Gym is housing 226 persons. Social Services is managing the missing persons hotline. They recently added additional numbers. The full list is available on NEMA's Facebook page.
Legislation making evacuations mandatory in the case of emergencies has been drafted, and according to Attorney General Carl Bethel, is ready to go next month. Now, there were some constitutional concerns with the initial draft, but the AG is confident that the present bill has been crafted to avoid any constitutional entitlements.
The sticking point was the use of the word emergency, which has a peculiar meaning in the Constitution and reserves the power to the Governor General to make the proclamation of public emergency and emergency powers. That's an extraordinary step that has not yet been invoked in our country, and the drafting of the law has been such as to avoid that constitutional complication.
Mr. Bethel acknowledging that that's not all the government's going to have to look at in this regard.
Other aspects of conduct that have manifested themselves of late, and perhaps make some additions to the proposed amendment to capture issues like printing false, maliciously untrue, or publishing false and maliciously untrue statements or statements designed to incite public fear, terror, or anxiety. So we're going to look at that because there have been any number of manifestly false publications on social or other media, and we as a people really cannot have a situation where, in the name of free speech, people are free to invent stories.
While the opposition's not satisfied, it's been fully engaged during the preparation, post-assessment, and restoration phases of Hurricane Dorian. As such, it's pressing the government to recall Parliament ahead of its scheduled October 2nd sitting. Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis says it would be a special sitting to discuss what has taken place before, during, and after the hurricane, including what short-term and long-term plans the government has to rebuild the affected islands.
With the amount of all the reports that's coming to me, with all the experiences that persons like the 5 members of Parliament from Grand Bahama would have had, don't you think it would be an appropriate venue for them to be able to come to Parliament and speak of the experiences that their constituents were having, so that it become so that the public is made aware. And we hear the voices of our people through their representative. And it's not an unheard of event. In our Westminster system, parliaments are recalled, particularly in times of natural disaster.
That aside, the party says it's in mobilization mode. To date, it's visited Moores Island, Treasure Key, Marsh Harbor, Spring City, and Grand Bahama.
On each trip, we carried a limited but a variety of supplies, including water, generators, canned and dry good food and products, subject, of course, to the capacity of our aircrafts. The PLP delivered multiple pallets of supplies on several mail boats to both Grand Bahama and Abaco. Further, we organized with the vessel owners to evacuate over 600 persons from Abaco and Grand Bahama.
The PLP leader acknowledges, though, that things won't be easy and the recovery will not be quick. A cleanup crew from energy company Equinor in Grand Bahama managing the oil spill it put there. National Emergency Management Agency spokesperson Carl Smith assuring reporters at today's briefing that so far the Ministry of Environmental Health has done its own assessment.
Based on this assessment, there's no reason to be of concern for public health. The tank themselves appear to be structurally intact, and there's no evidence at this time of an ongoing leak.
But the spill has certainly left a slippery situation in terms of other environmental concerns and cleanup. Environment Minister Romuald Ferrero listed numerous spillage in the area near the facility. But former Minister of Transport Glenys Hanna Martin today expressed concern over what she called Equinor's lack of transparency and rather late response. Our final story is up next.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.